Hi Aries, welcome to your reading with me, Cindy. Aries, it's going to be an interesting week. I'm putting a different spin on the High Priestess readings that I've started doing a while ago. For some reason, my voice sounds different to me. That's odd. Does it sound different to you? I have a different voice today. It's just weird. Anyways, Aries, I'm going to keep talking with my different voice. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap into your superpower. So if you've seen my High Priestess readings, you'll be familiar. We're going to look at your superpower. We're going to look at your kryptonite. We're going to look at your nemesis and your next assignment. What I'm going to do, the cards that I'm going to use though, I'm going to delve into the energies of the shadow and the light goddess. So I'm literally going to use my divine goddess deck and my dark goddess deck, which is the one that I'm going to start with. Right here, Aries. Different voice. What's going on? Maybe I'm going through puberty and my voice is getting deeper. So, okay, let's get started, Aries, and let's see what the goddesses have to tell you. Okay, Aries, after I've shuffled your cards and I'm sitting with them, because there's a lot here, so I'm taking it kind of in. Do you know what I'm really getting here? It's funny because I call you guys like fireball babies, right? Well, you are the baby of the zodiac and you are little fireballs. You are Aries, you are cardinal, you are fire, you are just Mars, baby. Mars in all its beauty. And then it's coming through in this reading very well. But what's also coming through is, sorry, I have my little card here that keeps me on track with what the placement of each card represents. What is also very true here is like being the baby of the zodiac. It's so, okay, where to start? Okay, let's start at the underline first, because both underlines are really, really similar. And that, okay, you have hubris, so you're like totally overconfident about what? Some secrecy and denial. So the secrecy card can represent like feelings that we don't share. So denying feelings, there's feelings that you don't share and denying what these feelings are. You were really confident that you do this well. And maybe you do, I don't know. And you could keep a lot bottled up from the cards that I see on the table. And then the underline of the tarot, you have the Chariot, the Hermit, and the Three of Swords. This is almost like the movement that you take is to keep everything bottled up inside. You see? You see how that? Like here, that, keeping like emotions, denying them, keeping them a secret, maybe denying these emotions from others, even yourself from looking at them. And you're confident. I'm confident that I can do this, that I'm doing this. I'm doing it really well. But, and yeah, it's keeping this all to yourself. I want to say it's an illusion. It's an illusion. People can see through it, for one. That's the one card that you have is the underline. It's just in the Divine Goddess deck. So I want to say how I think this is going to work this week, because you're the first one that I'm doing this with, right? Is I feel like the Dark Goddess deck is going to show us the energies that, you know what, this you could fall back on this. This is not necessarily the best thing for you to do. And then the Divine Goddess deck is the energy that supports like a higher frequency in terms of utilizing your energy. You can kind of combine the two and find balance as well. Now that we've talked about the underline, let me get into the reading. So your superpower, okay, your potency, you have wrath and creative spark. So right there, which I think is funny because wrath, I immediately think of Mars, which rules Aries. So it's like this intensity, and spark feels like the Ace of Wands to me too. It's like an idea, it's an initiation, it's doing something, it's creativity in all its rawness. But that can be something that I feel like, it's almost like you can be fueled by conflict. So something here about you could be fueled by conflict. But, right, when I talk about the best ways to try to balance this is Mars is your energy. You should embrace it. But how could you do that? I think the creative spark is such a beautiful way to kind of highlight that, right? So how to utilize whether you're angry, upset, sad, depressed, intense, because it's just, yeah, wrath and Mars, wrath and Mars. Put that into a creative outlet. Put it into, you need an outlet for when I feel like you have strong feelings about stuff. You need an outlet for that. And then when you outlet it, you make good things happen. I want to say there's also something in this reading that feels like you're an advocate. And I think Aries has been described as that. I think I've read that in different astrological descriptions. I think like Aries can be the advocate, the one pushing for the underdog in itself. And there is something here too with being that for others, but because, oh, did I say, okay, I didn't say why, there's so much coming through. Why, okay, fireball babies. Who I was seeing when I originally sat down and absorbed your cards and the messages was Jack in The Invincibles. The Incredibles, which is kind of funny. It's superheroes. And it's a little bit what like the theme can kind of be through the High Priestess week. It's what is your superpower? What is your kryptonite? You know, all that stuff. So it's Jack because he's a sweet little baby. But when you set him off, turns into like a little fireball baby. So, and I see that here because there's a sweetness to you. And I think sometimes that sweetness can be taken advantage of. And I think that sweetness can be misinterpreted by people as being, maybe naive. There could be a bit of naivety that sits here in terms of, I think, the things that may have happened to you in the past, but you're an advocate. And I think part of the lesson for yourself here in this reading is to make sure you're an advocate for yourself as much as you can be for other people. So, and right here I get this advocacy energy. You've got justice, you've got the Ace of Pentacles, and you have the Magician. So right away, like when you get pissed off, when something is not right, you are pushed. And I don't know, maybe that's the thing that it takes for you sometimes. Like sometimes you just, I mean, it's your superpower, it's your strength. If somebody pushes you hard enough, they might be sorry they did it. We'll say that. They might be sorry they did it. But I want to say too, like with just the storms and the tornadoes, you might be sorry they did it too. Because it could just be like, rah, like a huge unleashing of the tornado. Everything just gets, that's very King of Wands. I think one of the things that's used in the traditional description of the King of Wands, I think in the Rider-Waite, is that he will unleash the fire and he will burn everything down when it needs to be burned down. I haven't said that a lot about the King of Wands in a while, but that came through maybe a couple years ago. That was coming through very strongly for the King of Wands, but that is a representation of him. It is like when nothing is working, I am not afraid to burn this shit down. It's kind of how he is. It's like, that is it. It's coming down. This forest is full of shit. It's got, oh, I shouldn't say that. It's got all sorts of dead wood and stuff in it. Yeah, the woodpecker's here. Getting so many birds coming to this. It's great. Larry's not here to enjoy it though, because he's at the groomer getting his first bath today. It's a second grooming appointment. The first one, they did have to shave him down in a few spots, but now he has regular grooming. So he's getting a bath today. Let's be pissed. He's probably harnessing the animal. Oh, he's an Aries. So, yeah, you can make amazing things happen. You can produce new beginnings. You burn shit down. But I think that, you know, the key here is to do it creatively. You can. And I think you can. You can. But your creativity does seem to be born from difficulty, maybe. Difficulty, intensity. Now your kryptonite. The kryptonite is the thing that is the weakness. There's a difference between the kryptonite, like your weakness, and your nemesis. Because the nemesis is something that at the time that it's happening, it can feel like the worst opportunity for this to be happening for you. And it doesn't feel like it's making you any better. But at the end of it, you end up being stronger. You know, it's like getting into the boxing ring with someone you think, oh my God, this is the one opponent that I know I can't beat on my best day, and I'm not having my best day, but you get knocked down so many times. You end up finding a weakness in this opponent, which is a strength in yourself. You identify the differences in this and how to utilize it. You know what I'm saying? So that is the nemesis. But the weakness is not that. It is the kryptonite, is what we think about with Superman. It is the one thing that you could, anything, but you put this against Superman and he's going down. Okay? So what is your weakness, your kryptonite? It's interesting. It's control and reverence. You may have difficulty because there's something that you keep a secret here of. Your feelings about something, you deny them. You keep them to yourself. It's the hardest thing you can do. I don't know. Maybe, you know, I don't know. You could be fooling people. I do want to say that you may not be quick to compliment. And I don't know. That's odd too, because Aries just tends to be open and blurts everything out. But maybe that is. Maybe there's times where you're like, I just can't tell this person how I feel. Or I'm just not going to tell them how much I appreciate them. Because it's funny, right? Like, you control your reverence. But that's hard for you. It makes you feel like shit, which is interesting because to me, to control your reverence is if I really admire you. Like, what you're doing is amazing. It's just, it blows me away. So to not say that, I don't know why that's coming up. Maybe you should. Controlling it is a weakness. Maybe you should. Maybe you shouldn't compliment people so openly. That's interesting too, right? Maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. It's coming up as your weakness, your kryptonite. And the cards that support it, so here's interesting. The Hanged Man, the Princess of Swords, which is like the Page of Swords, and the Ten of Wands, which is called Oppression in this deck. This is the Heaven and Earth Tarot. This is the things that you observe, but you walk away. You turn your back on them. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know why. I mean, there could be a lot of reasons, but it's really clear in this weakness for, however that resonates for you. I mean, it just could be, I don't know. It's the weakness though. It's because it's a weakness. I feel like either you demonstrate poor control in terms of complimenting people that shouldn't receive compliments. You might be too quick to judge a book by its cover until you really get into that book. And I mean like the outside appearance of people until you really get to know them. And then you've maybe even given some of your power away by over complimenting someone, even perhaps it doesn't deserve it. But then, so there's that angle of it. And then, but I feel like there is the stronger angle to me feels like, because of what's supported here with the tarot, is the Hanged Man and the Ten of Wands and the Page of Swords. It's like holding this all back. So there's some legitimate reason, I guess, why you would do that. It could be some sort of even trauma in yourself where you could have been raised in an environment where compliments were not given. And it just feels really hard to do it. It just feels really difficult to do it. So you just tend to kind of look and watch, and then you turn your back. But when you turn your back, honestly, it feels like the wrong thing to do. So yeah, it's really a fascinating little energy there for your kryptonite. And because of the underlying, the supportive energy with the hubris, like you are so confident, I can do it, I can keep the secret. I want to say, if you were keeping a secret about either someone that you really admire, I don't know why you would. Like, it's weird. I don't know, you all have different stories, and life can be so intricate and complicated that it's not something that I'm necessarily going to pull out in a reading. Unless I don't know, I'm not going to spend all day in this little area, but there's something going on here where, like, your movement is towards yourself, like holding it all back, keeping it all in, just self-reflection. But that's the heartbreak here. There is some sort of burden that feels like it is carried by emotions or something that is not shared, and you're just overly confident about how you keep this a secret and you deny it and your illusions. So your nemesis, this is the shit that makes you stronger. Well, this is interesting. This is redeeming yourself. redemption and revelation. Well, revelation is like revealing. So, okay, because there's something here about not revealing. What do you reveal? I don't know. A redemption. This is your nemesis. So it's, I want to say it's almost like, okay, I'm starting to get a scenario in my head here. Because that's coming up as a nemesis, it's actually something that makes you stronger. I'm getting, so here's the thing that's playing out in my head. It's almost like, let's say you're at a workshop or something, and you're learning something new. You're learning pottery, or you're learning carving, or you're learning, I don't know, painting, and you know, there's a large group of people, and there's somebody, you're watching somebody do something, and you really admire the technique that they're using and how they're developing it. And there's just, I want to say there's this natural part of Aries that just wants to go over and say, that is amazing. It's so good. I love that, because that is part of the advocate, right? I mean, you'll advocate for anybody. Almost a lot. You will advocate for a lot, Aries. So there is that. But I want to say, too, there could be a sense of curiosity. Like, I'm really interested in how you did that. Like, why did you come up with that idea? How did you come up with that idea to do it in this way? But I'm almost seeing like a lot of people around that person. And it's, so you have to hold this back. Like, that is almost an example that's coming. So like, you have to control this reverence. And all you can do is kind of stand off on the side and watch. Can't even get in there. And there might have been some sort of feeling like, well, you know, the person has a lot of attention on what it is that they're doing. They probably wouldn't be interested in hearing about how. But you know, this is like, you're really meant to express yourself in ways that I feel like you're holding yourself back. And then the part here is almost like every time you, this part, like every time you see an opening or there's a lull in the group, the work that's going on, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to go. I want to see what they're doing. I've kind of seen it from a distance. I want to strike up a conversation with this person and understand better what it is that they're creating and how they've come up with that. And it's like you sit up, you get out of your chair, the chair makes a sound, goes creak on the floor. Everybody looks up. Oh, Aries is getting up. And then it's almost as if then all these people then go back over to that other person and you're like, now you feel uncomfortable. Like, you know what I mean? It keeps pushing you. It's almost like the opportunity's there and it's not. The opportunity's there and it's not. Because it's a nemesis. So it comes and goes. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. There's something, I think it's almost like something that you would like to reveal about yourself that would redeem you. Maybe you don't, maybe somebody does think you're arrogant. No. Maybe somebody does think you're arrogant because you turn your back on them and keep secrets. I don't know, because there's the back turning. But to redeem yourself, there's something really beautiful and creative here. Oh, the female cardinals just come in now. So there's something really beautiful and creative that's coming out of this person's hand, right? And I talked about like sort of like a workshop or something, you know, where people would be working with their hands, I guess, too. You know, if you're doing clay or carving or painting or drawing or something like that. It's almost like you don't get the chance to redeem yourself. That's the nemesis here. I would put this even in a different way. I would even put this like you would be the instructor in the group. It's almost like being the instructor in the group, and there's someone incredibly talented in the class, like in the workshop. And I don't know why, but it's almost like that's the feeling of this. And not saying, wow, I really, really admire what you're creating. And maybe that would be favoritism. Isn't that funny? But then because it's like it would redeem yourself, this revelation. Or maybe people don't think you have any talent. I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to show you the tarot in a minute. It's really fascinating. And I think so many of these different ideas come in because I think each time I express it in a different way, it applies to someone, or it kind of, it's like, oh yeah, now I see, yeah, that's exactly Cindy. So the Knight of Cups, the Devil. Oh, I wanted to see if it was called something different in this deck. He's not. And the King of Cups. Right, there's the movement. It's like the Knight of Cups. It's kind of a similar energy to the Chariot. It's just it's minor arcana. So so that's interesting too. Because it's minor arcana, I want to say this is like your own intention of moving something forward. But there's this toxic energy that's sitting here and you can't do it. And you got to keep it all bottled up inside. And what's really interesting though, is that the major arcana are things that are like really very difficult to transform. And I feel like could be the universe setting us up in certain situations and circumstances, and then where we find ourselves in that. Yeah, actually, it's funny. As I work through this, it feels more and more like it could have the energy of that. It could be like a parent and just feeling like there's certain things that you shouldn't say, or you should let your kids struggle in something, or again, like an instructor. Okay, your next assignment. You have the abuse card in future. Now the abuse card is interesting because the abuse card, it talks about like the ways that we've allowed ourselves to be abused or taken advantage of, or how we've possibly been naive in certain situations, and then coming out of that and feeling kind of wounded and hurt. But be really careful about that, because there is the warning here that you could miss an opportunity. It's funny, like I'm seeing the Four of Cups as I say that, because I think I looked in the Goddess book on this one. I wanted to be clear about this because it's an interesting position and it's part of your next assignment or your path. But I'm gonna read you what it says here, because you could ran. A second. There she is. Okay. Oh, funny, right? It actually even says learn to manage your anger. And you have wrath. Like angry. Angry. So learn to manage your anger. You are running the risk of losing a loved one to another. Take long walks by the sea. Be romantic. Praise others more often. Oh my God. I actually forgot that it said that. Because I kind of worked that out as I did the reading. So isn't that interesting? Don't be afraid if you don't have all the answers. Be open to the help that is about to be offered to you. So that's interesting too. Like you run the risk of being angry about you have being angry about something and that being the cause for missing opportunities. And it says you are running the risk of losing a loved one to another. Now, I don't know. I mean, that is really specific. I mean, if you have turned into really sour, angry grapes and you're in a relationship, it's a possibility, I guess. If you've turned into somebody that you no longer are when you met your partner, something like that, or a friend group, there is a possibility here because you're becoming somebody that you weren't and who you're not really meant to become. Okay, it's not going to be for everyone, but I do feel like it's like I am seeing the Four of Cups with it. So it's missing an opportunity, and maybe somebody else having that opportunity is sort of how that feels. But with the Future card, this is, to me, this is like turn your back on the darkness from the past and look into the future with optimism. And as I say that, it's not easy because the last card in the tarot that supports this is the Nine of Swords. But you have the Lovers and the Four of Wands here, followed by the Nine of Swords for your next assignment. I feel like there's a next assignment here, and I think it can be easy, whoever, in whatever outlook you take. If you take a more pessimistic outlook moving forward, you will deny yourself or come up with reasons perhaps why you can't have an optimistic future. Oh my God, wait a second. No, I won't have that. That was a while ago. You guys had a reading. The best is yet to come. Yeah, you did. You guys, isn't that interesting? So that's kind of sitting here in this your next assignment area. I'm just going to clarify a couple of things. Not too much because, you know, it's really actually quite specific. I want to look at your kryptonite. That's the one. Yeah. Okay. Controlling reverence. My God, you got the Three of Swords and the Hangman. It's standing by and watching, which is so odd. That does not seem like an Aries energy. It's not an Aries energy at all. And that is, and it's showing up as that too. It is not. So I feel like some of you in some sort of situation where they're, I don't know, maybe you're required to control yourself in some way here for some reason. And it is the most difficult thing. The Page of Swords. The Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, so, okay, this is like slow, methodical movement forward and just kind of seeing what's going on around you. So you may be in some sort of energy where you feel like you don't have a lot of control right now in some area of your life. And then you have like the Ten of Wands, this oppression, like carrying the weight. The Ace of Swords, the Four of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, this kind of feels like you have an answer. You know something, but you have to kind of rest on it or just keep it quiet and to create a plan. Yeah, I'm actually more confused by that then. Yeah, the oppression is the knowing and holding it. So I don't know what you know. You know something with the Page of Swords, right? And it is some kind of a long-term plan. So there could be like reasons that you're doing something right now or you're holding back from saying something. And that's part of a plan. So let's look at the abuse card. The Hermit. I'm not going to, I kind of feel like there's some sort of self-abuse in that with the Hermit. Yeah. Then the future, like a bright, optimistic future. The High Priestess. So I'm telling you, it's got a bright, optimistic future. And then the Nine of Swords. Everything else flipped. You have Judgment and I'm being able to bend better again. The Six of Wands. It is. That is like a successful future. All right. That's fine. The rest is up to you guys. Tried to understand it as best as I could. You have the Ace of Wands here. There's that creative spark. I'm going to go do the extended. Oh, in the extended, we're going to see what from your past still pulls on you. What from your future is trying to push you forward. How this push and pull affects you. How you can allow all things to flow freely. There you go. Thank you so much, Aries. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.